Inspired by true events, the film opens with a series of terrifying scenes. We follow the journey of a tattooed man who is preparing for his next sinister mission. He is sitting beside a collection of sharp surgical instruments, and a tray full of blood is hidden in the background. We then show 6 college friends Amy, Brock, Jesse, Stephanie, Kevin, and Kelly who are traveling to Vilnius, Lithuania for a much-anticipated vacation. The group is eager to explore their new surroundings and experience the city's nightlife. They seem to be hanging out in a bar, as we see guys going wild on the dance floor and girls gossiping over glasses of martinis. Amy wanders around looking for a toilet when she notices a strange room and is drawn to a series of portraits of the Tsuza family. The portraits appear to date back to 1743. Next, Brock meets a sexually aggressive tattoo artist apprentice named Yuva, who is also attracted to him. He convinces Amy to go with him to the parlor so that she can commemorate the visit with a new tattoo. The parlor is dark, and Amy finds strange lock-like devices lying on a small table. Before she can touch them, Yuta interrupts. The tension of the film increases when Oda takes Brock to the parlor's basement, which is actually a dungeon. It is littered with cult-themed candles and pictures of Oda. She then emerges from the darkness and tempts Brock again. They begin to take off their clothes, and things escalate. Their antics last for a few minutes before Oda suddenly uses a wrestling move on Brock, choking him and knocking him unconscious. He becomes a prisoner, trapped and at her mercy. Meanwhile, upstairs, Amy, the owner of the tattoo parlor, strikes up a conversation with the artist and discusses the deeper meanings of tattoo art. However, things take a sinister turn when the artist spikes Amy's drink, knocking her unconscious. He then takes Amy captive, and the 2 friends find themselves tied to a slab in the dungeon, at the mercy of the ruthless Kyuza's family. Brock awakens to a world of pain, begging for his life, but his pleas fall on deaf ears. Amy emerges from a drugged haze and remembers a scene from her darkest dreams. The artist, stone-faced, begins his brutal masterpiece by skinning Brock's upper arm. Amy looks on, heart pounding in fear, her pleas for mercy met with a reproachful silence. The artist pauses only to comfort her before planting a kiss on her forehead. Brock's agonized screams echo through the dungeon, blood pouring out onto the floor, and the artist, following up the previous skinning procedure, methodically rips out his left ear and feeds it to his dog, while Oda takes an even more aggressive approach to silence the 2. Just when we think it can't get any worse, the artist rips off a large chunk of Brock's back, intending to use it as a canvas for his brutal creation. The next morning, the 4 remaining friends wake up to find that Brock and Amy are nowhere to be found, and immediately begin their search. Meanwhile, Amy is tied to a chair while the artist tells her about a unique gift that is only available once in a lifetime: irizumi, the hand-piercing method of tattooing. In this, the artist dips a needle in ink and pierces the skin hundreds of times. The victim has to remain still, feeling each puncture. The artist ends his monologue by horrifyingly praising her skin. The 4 friends wander the dimly lit streets, their eyes glued to every shop that comes their way. They are looking for any sign, any clue to the disappearance of their friends, Brock and Amy. Jesse presses forward, his anger boiling below the surface. Suddenly, some young men from the street come and abuse them. Jesse screams in anger and pounces on the leader of the pack. The 4 friends struggle to free themselves and chaos ensues. Gasping and injured, they continue their search until they reach an artist's parlor. The man inside insists that Brock and Amy left the previous night, but Kevin, Stephanie, and Kelly are convinced. They want to call the police and continue the search, but Jesse insists that Brock just had sex with Amy, and they are probably having a sleepless night. Back at the parlor, the artist tells her that the tattoos he gave her will tie her to him forever. Whenever she looks in the mirror, she will see them. He reminds her that she wanted a tattoo that would remind her of her journey, and the tattoo he is about to give her will do exactly that. He then hands her a small mirror, and she breaks down and sobs at what he has done. The artist watches with satisfaction as Amy breaks down into tears at the sight of a ship's anchor tattooed under her eye, a permanent reminder of him and their trip. Kelly eventually deduces that the tattoo she saw on the parlor wall was the same one on Brock's arm. Again, Jesse, who is with her, tries to deflect by saying that the tattoo design is quite common and can be found in many tattoo parlors in the area. Stephanie says that she should not go to that tattoo parlor again, as he looked suspicious, and that they should just file a police report. However, Jesse is determined to have fun and believes that Amy and Brock will come back on their own without any problems. Despite her insistence, the rest of the group agrees to go back to the parlor for further investigation. Jesse becomes frustrated with the lack of progress and his friends' disagreements. As a result, he decides to leave the group and go to a strip club alone to find out what happened to their friends. Kelly, Stephanie, and Kevin return to the parlor and demand answers, but instead of getting answers, they are held captive by the artist and his minions. At first they try to call Jesse for help, but he is too busy at the club. Yuta brutally hits Stephanie in the head with a bat, and the artist arrives. Kelly rushes to where Brock is chained, but just as she is able to unchain Amy, the artist arrives and knocks her unconscious. At the club, Jesse takes note of all the missed calls. He hears a voicemail from Kevin, which he hears a message of worry and concern. Kevin reveals that they have arrived at the tattoo parlor, and things don't look right. Despite his friend's clear warning, Jesse decides to ignore everything and continue his fun at the club. He leaves a pile of missed calls and voicemails without thinking. Back in the basement, Amy is still tied to the chair, while a naked Stephanie is tied to a stretcher, and the other three are hanging from the ceiling by their hands. Kelly wakes up in fear, and Amy groans that they are skinning people alive and killed Brock right in front of her. The camera pans, and we see a bloodied Kevin unconscious, just like Stephanie. The artist and Yuta arrive, and Kelly continues to yell for Stephanie to wake up. Tired of her antics, the artist holds a knife to Stephanie's neck, causing Kelly to shut up. He then explains that they are under his jurisdiction, and they will be used to pay tribute to his gods through painful human sacrifice. The artist inspects Stephanie and explains that her skin is considered impure because of her birthmark. She is handed over to the cruel and ruthless tattoo artist Yuta to practice skinning. Before leaving to get the tattoo, the artist instructs Oda to not harm Amy under any circumstances until he returns. As he leaves, Stephanie wakes up from a trance and Yuta begins skinning her, carving a piece from Stephanie's back. Like Brock, Yuta tears it off with her bare hands, but accidentally tears off a piece of her skin. Frustrated, she stabs Stephanie in the neck and kills her. The girls cry as Oda unties the corpse and brutally throws it to the ground. In another part of town, the artist, dressed in his best clothes, goes to a secluded spot for a secret transaction. He gives a man dressed in black a package in exchange for a bag full of money. After the transaction, the man dressed in black leaves and the artist drives away. The man in black takes the package to a grand and luxurious mansion. It turns out that it is the artist's latest work, a painting on human skin. He opens the package and finds a portrait of a man, just like the one we saw at the beginning of the story. The portrait is carefully hung on the wall, surrounded by other similar paintings. Meanwhile, Jesse continues to party at the club, completely oblivious to what is happening elsewhere. He is still immersed in his desires and enjoying himself to the fullest. Meanwhile, in a moment of bravery, Kelly strangles Oda with her chains, knocking her unconscious. She sees a chance to escape and flees. She runs through the streets, her heart pounding. However, Kelly is still not safe. The street youths Jesse had attacked earlier quickly pursue her. They surround her in a dark alley, ready to attack. Kelly is terrified, with nowhere to turn. Just when all hope seems lost, suddenly the artist appears, gun in hand. He takes aim and shoots every street youth. Kelly tries to escape, but the artist is much faster than her. He takes aim and pulls the trigger, killing Kelly but angering the artist, who had specifically instructed Yuta not to lay a finger on the girl. He slaps Yuta in the face and tells her to leave. Again, he comforts Amy and tells her about Kelly, which lowers her morale even further. Shocking everyone, he lifts her out of the chair and takes her to a room full of paintings. He explains that in the Middle Ages, a Russian king used to carve portraits of his enemies on the skin, and that the artist's ancestors mastered the technique. Jesse later arrives at the tattoo parlor with a stripper named Zala, hoping to use her as a bargaining chip. But Zala is soon captured and tortured by Yuta, and pierces her private parts before a fierce fight breaks out between the two women. Jesse soon learns that Amy is also the artist's prisoner, and he does his best to shut her down. As he enters the room where Amy is, it is revealed that Jesse is actually a member of the powerful Cusa's family, and that his real name is Antanas. His father insisted that he get a portrait of himself tattooed on human skin as part of their family tradition. Jesse only wanted Brock to be killed, not the rest of his friends. That's why he asked Amy not to go with him when they went to Brock's house, since Amy was initially in the same house with the paintings. It turns out that Suza's family has been a long-time client of the artist. Jesse asks the artist to kill Amy, since she now knows about him, but he drugs Jesse. He then tells Amy that it's time for her to learn her destiny. Unlocking her handcuffs, he suggests that she can do whatever she wants with Jesse. Of course, she tries to leave, but the sight of Brock's framed tattoo reminds her of the cruel treatment her friends have received because of Jesse's actions. Full of determination and resolve, she returns to the basement. She finds Yuta torturing Zala, and she tortures him the same way she tortured her friends. Amy is hanging from the ceiling as she brutally slashes her neck. Jesse is tied to a stretcher, and he tries to get out with the money, but Amy's brainwashing is almost complete. She has gone too far, tearing Jesse's back apart. His skin will be used to paint a portrait of her. The film ends with the two men in Vilnius, and Amy welcoming them into the parlor as the artist's new apprentice.